Over the last several years, we have seen the demise of woke Hollywood as they continue to show everybody that they care far more about diversity and representation than about actually entertaining people. And we've seen everybody from the studios all the way to the award shows institute diversity policies. No longer do they actually want the best person. No longer do they actually want the best actor or actress. Instead, they want a skin color. Instead, they want a sexuality. Instead, they want a gender. And that's led to 2022, which was one of the worst box offices we've seen in 20 years. But with all of this happening, there still seems to be some roles where they're not willing to put people of color. Now, of course, there's exceptions to this rule, but it's been pretty obvious if you're paying attention to the agenda. And now, even some people within Hollywood are calling it out. Kumail Nanjiani was told, people don't want to cast non-white actors as villains. The Eternals actor suggests the good intentions of progressive-minded Hollywood decision-makers can, quote, sometimes lead to misguided solutions. If the bad guy's a brown guy, what message is that sending? So now woke Hollywood has gone so woke that you have, quote, people of color complaining that they're not getting villain roles because they're afraid to give those to brown and black people. That, you can't make this up, that's what's happening. It really reminded me of something that I said about a movie that came out in 2022 called The Batman. Now, I really enjoyed The Batman. I gave it an 8 out of 10, but on my review that kind of went semi-viral for a clip that people took out of it, I pointed out how interesting it was that, every person of color in the movie was a protagonist, was a good person. Even race swap characters were protagonists, where it didn't seem like they really did the same thing with the villains. And I thought that was interesting, and I mentioned it, and I thought it was on the nose for Hollywood. And now look where we are, less than a year later, and you have Marvel stars saying the exact same thing. Somehow, I don't think that he'll get raked over the coals for this. Somehow, I don't think we'll see the same level of outrage that was levied at me, levied towards Kumail Nanjiani. But that's just a guess I have. Let's get into this. Kumail Nanjiani says Hollywood is still limiting the kind of roles that actors of color can play. The Eternals' Big Sick and Silicon Valley actor, who's promoting his recent Hulu limited series Welcome to Chippendales, said in a new interview that decision makers are reluctant to cast non-white actors in villain roles. I think that Hollywood now, even though they're trying to be more diverse, is still weird, the actor told Esquire. The article notes Nanjiani believes the problem is, quote, good intentions can sometimes lead to misguided solutions. If the bad guy is a brown guy, what message is that sending? And it's really been obvious. If you've been paying attention to what's going on, you can see this agenda at play. Now, it doesn't mean that there's not exceptions to that rule. There certainly are. But when you look at the way, say, women are treated in Hollywood now, in action movies, it's like, well, they got to show that they're actually tougher than the man. They got to emasculate the man in some way to show that they're just as good or better than the man. You see a similar thing, these similar rules they try to put in place for, quote, people of color actors. They don't want to portray them as a villain. And then if they do, they need to make sure that you understand them. There's really some other motivation. Really, they were in the right the entire time. At least that's the way they tend to try to portray it. And that's just as limited as anything else Nanjiani said. I want to play more bad guys. He pointed to actor Sebastian Stan, who plays Marvel superhero The Winter Soldier, as well as Cannibal in the 2022 movie Fresh. He does these big Marvel movies, and then he'll play a psychopath. I was told that's going to be hard because people don't want to cast non-white people as bad guys. Something that we've been saying for a long time. It looks like people in Hollywood are finally catching up. You go so woke that you're taking away jobs from the very same people that you're trying to push everywhere else. In Welcome to Chippendales, Nanjiani plays the iconic strip club's Indian founder, I don't know what his name is, as he goes from an up-and-coming businessman to a vilified accessory to murder in the early 90s. Nanjiani said he suspects such a role would have gone to a white actor if the project wasn't based on a true story. Yeah, that might be true. And then if the person were actually good in the Netflix adaptation, it would probably end up switching them. If they were white, they'd probably end up switching the race. That's what we see time and time again. Previously, Nanjiani told THR about the role. I've never gotten the opportunity to play a character like this who had such a big arc and descent into darkness. I've always wanted to play the bad guy. I don't mean guys who are just kind of shitty. I mean a bad guy. So I just could not help but laugh at this. I mean, that's all I did. I just LOL'd on Twitter because he's saying so many of the things that we've been talking about, but he's coming from this perspective of they took our jobs. That's what he's saying. He's saying, I don't get this opportunity to have this job anymore because they won't let brown or black people have these villain roles, where it's pretty obvious that yes, Hollywood doesn't want to show black or brown people in a bad light for fear of being called racist. That's likely one of the causes. And of course, just to continue to push their agenda that, you know, white people bad. This thing has freaking 5,400 likes already. It's crazy. Literally just an LOL and a screenshot of this article. But I just had to talk about this today because there just seems like there's so many similarities here. Let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.